Hello, this is sort of a special edition of Bizart, a podcast that we used to have ages ago because we're not going to do that anymore, but I fancied doing one, seeing as we've been staying with us while I've got 3 weeks off work to work on my book, and you are going to work on your art for an exhibition.
Yep.
And then 3 weeks will be over and we'll have stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be brilliant 3 weeks of just creative fun. Been really looking forward to it for ages.
Yes,
so,
me too.
Good.
Okay, so I thought of a couple of things that we can talk about because I've been kind of sucked into... I'm a bit dubious about bringing this up, but I don't think anyone's particularly interested in my little channel anyway. But
oh, don't be so modest.
Oh well, I've been sort of sucked into the weirdness that is Comicsgate. I don't know if you know much about it, but about 5 years ago or however long, Gamergate happened, and then there were the sad puppies and rabid puppies of like science fiction and horror writing, and now we're having Comicsgate, which is basically a bunch of angry, usually men, and usually white men, not always, but usually, feel that it's all being ruined by some SJW cabal, and they stream about it for hours, and I don't know why, but I find things like that fascinating. I just love to look at character studies online, and you can safely watch people online without people knowing that you're like, if I was to just stand at people's doorways and listen in, like they would notice me, but they're just online, you can just watch people. It really interests me, and so I've kind of been trying to figure out what I think the whole thing is, and things like that, and
They all,
they have like a real narrative of like, basically they like real true fans were minding their own business, enjoying what the culture has to offer, like in the way of comics and things like that, and they're the real fans, and then these other people outside who aren't real fans, who certainly haven't grown up like reading comics and playing games and that, and wishing that there were people in them that were a bit more like them maybe. They've come from outside. They've come from outside, and
they haven't though.
Well, I know, but this is what they think, and they're kind of taking over and telling them, the real fans, how it's supposed to be. Like, no, you're doing it wrong. We've come from here. We're telling you, no, it's not going to be like that anymore. And they've got a real like romanticism about it. Like one of the streams I was listening to with, what's his name, Ethan Van Scriver or something like that, and there's like main people who are involved, and they do make comics and stuff, but one of them really reminds me of that cult leader. Do you remember the cult from I'm not saying he's got a cult, I'm just saying he reminds me of him. You know that guy,
or
the guy who he's very like, has a
what, the end of the world
like feels like he's very knowledgeable and has that kind of aura of, you know, the guy in the cult had a kind of self-important
smug guy.
Oh, what was that cult?
The end of the world cult, wasn't it?
That was the documentary.
Oh, okay.
The End of the World Cult, but I forget what the actual people are called, but it's basically him and a bunch of very young girls. That's not that guy, the cult leader. But listening to the stream, they were like describing the people who were like bombarding comment sections of like DC comic streams and that with they were referring to them as centurions, like, oh look, our centurions are out in force and stuff like that. So it's a very like battle orientated narrative, you know, and like it just really intrigues me because a lot of it is very fantasy based, you know. But it seems like early hours in the morning for me, which is daytime for them, because obviously being British, I haven't been very well. I've got endometriosis, so I was awake at like, I don't know what time. But Vox Day, I don't know if you've heard of Vox Day, but he was involved in the Sad Puppies and Rabid Puppies, and he's a science fiction writer. And he wrote that book, SJWs Always Lie. He's like saying, I'm going to start a comic imprint called Comicsgate, and if you're a Comicsgate artist or whatever, you've got a comic, I'll release it through our thing. Like he publishes books or whatever. Well, a lot of them are doing it like independently. Like a lot of them are using
well,
it.
What I said yesterday. They are preaching to people who are kind of within his sphere, so he's going to be selling it to them, so they probably will do all right within their own little sphere. But
well, interestingly enough, the ones that sort of do it independently, the ones who are like, I've had this idea, look, this is my thing, or whatever, and they've been using the hashtag on Twitter or whatever, they have been making quite a lot of money actually off people.
You can do that now with Patreon, and if you've got an audience of say 100,000 or whatever, I mean that is more than enough to earn a good living now.
But it's but this guy Vox Day has incurred their wrath because they're like, you're not one of us, you're...
Oh really?
Yeah, they now hate Vox Day. They were doing like a stream where they were watching his stream and making fun of him, which admittedly is kind of easy to do because...
Sounds like a civil war or something.
It's really bizarre. Like, I can't help but be fascinated by this kind of stuff. Right, I fully admit that I am really nosy. Like, I don't gossip.
No,
I don't spread
gossip.
things. I
say that without any kind of... I'm not. I mean, not in the way that say my mum is a gossip. You're not like that. Oh, I saw Marjorie at number 5, and she was. I mean, Maddie's not like that at all. But when it's to do with writing or the arts or anything like that, then she likes to keep her finger on the pulse.
Finger on the pulse, nose in the door, rather. But see, that's the thing. Like artistic or whatever kind of drama, I can't help it. I'm fascinated by it, and if it's author drama or writing drama, I am always right there trying to figure it out. But it's just you know, like with the stuff that they were saying in Vox Day's stream, because that's when they were saying, oh look, our Centurions are out, oh this is Comicsgate, and they were like, the stream where they were watching his stream, they were like really like hyper on it, and I was just wondering, like, apparently they were just filling, well, I saw that they were filling this guy's comments. There are people's comments that they're filling when they stream who are not wanting to be part of it, who are the SJWs as they call it. Like, say not that...
Which is a slur, isn't it?
Yeah.
SJWs, it's making anyone from any kind of alternative minority kind of group sound completely way out, crazy and unreasonable.
Yeah.
Basically, that's kind of like the label that was put on it, SJW.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
anyone who doesn't basically agree with them is an SJW.
So anyone at all who feels that there is a slight issue with the status quo or how things are or run in any kind of sense is an SJW. But yeah, it's what fascinates me as well is this separating of humanity and people's personalities. Like on this particular stream that I was watching at I don't know what time, they were they were like, one guy was saying, oh, well, we're practical and rational, they're just all completely emotion. And they weren't talking about Vox Day, they were talking about SJWs and things like that, like they're a separate species. And it's really peculiar to me, like how you, even if you're very passionate about a subject, how you can't stand back and think about how groups generally are run, and think about, like, even the French Revolution or something like that. Like, the French Revolution obviously were a bunch of starving people who wanted equality, and yeah, but they ended up infighting and so on. Like, I don't know, it's confusing to me how people can't take a step back and look objectively at things. Like, do you not see that humans are humans, and humans do things that other humans do, and there are people who are fighting for equality who are the people that they hate, and they go about things in ways that each other don't agree with, and you know,
you've always got to respect other. I mean, they'll say they're the first to stand up for this, but in being so extreme themselves with the kind of what would you call it? I don't know, that they're kind of becoming the thing that they protest against in some ways, where they don't like to hear any kind of voice that isn't their own, it's like we were just saying. But it's kind of weird, and a lot of it comes from, I mean, the general kind of, everybody at the moment, I think, is experiencing a real kind of uneasiness and unhappiness at the moment, and it's happened ever since the financial crisis. Let's face it, 2008, and that's coincided with people who may have kept quiet. They've actually come more to the fore now and actually are having a voice. Minorities, and
because like they've always felt dissatisfied, you know, like since the beginning, and for some reason it offends some people that, like, they can't comprehend that they are actually real fans as well, but they just have never.
But they're belligerent, aren't they? They kind of have that. It's so easy now with social media and not social media, but the internet and everything else, and it's so easy to communicate with people with a very, very similar mindset that you can just contain yourself within a certain group and live in that quite happy in your own little world, I guess. Without really listening to voices. This is what we found out with recent elections and everything else in society. Everything's so compartmentalised, and that's quite a danger to democracy and you know, it's you know, there's always got to be a variety of voices in any argument, otherwise it's just,
I mean, there's a good TED talk that a lady does which is about the danger of, what's it called, the danger of the single story or something like that, or the danger of the I don't know, something like the danger of the single story or the single voice or something like that, which, you know, like, I was saying this yesterday when I was reading out the SJW book by Vox Day, who I will get back to in just 1 minute as well. And I failed to see how they can't at least look at things from people's perspective. Because if I put myself in the shoes of like a young white guy who is a long time fan of games or comics or whatever, I can kind of
a middle-aged white guy who's a long-term fan of games and comics.
But like one who is unfair. You're a fair person, but like how they can't kind of see that the status quo has been the majority of white men, but everyone else has had to kind of take a back seat, and all people are kind of wanting now is to not have to do that anymore. And there are things that we might not necessarily have thought of that need fixing.
Exactly.
It's not. But getting back to Vox Day, the stream that they were making fun of, I have to admit it was quite funny. Not that I want to agree with the Comicsgate people on anything, but this is probably the one thing that I do agree with. I think purely because Vox Day has been so awful. He was such a terrible kind of Gamergate and rabid puppy troll that it just amused me a bit. But he was like saying, "I'm not going to give in, you will kneel down before the Dark Lord."
Okay.
He was a Dark Lord. I know, it was just really peculiar.
Yeah, if ever there's an example of someone who really needs to go and meet some new people.
Yeah, he needs to just go outside a minute. So yeah, just, I don't know, amused me. Which I guess kind of, I don't know, do you have anything else on the subject that you want to say?
No, I mean, it's quite, it can be really funny to look at this from a completely different angle, but it's quite sad.
It is sad, yeah. I mean, it's sad. It's sad for them.
I'm not saying they're sad.
No.
Or I'm not. It's not. I'm not being offensive towards.
No, what it's sad for the people who are their targets. It's sad for them that they feel that they have to be so angry 24 hours a day. It's just all around pretty sad.
It's not healthy.
No, it's not healthy. Like if you look at someone like, I don't know if you've heard of Sargon or people like that, where they started with Gamergate and stuff. Like, he has to be angry like a good portion of his day. And I'm not saying that righteous anger is wrong if I feel that if it's towards making things progress, but I feel like if your main objective is to keep things the same and how they were, like, that seems odd to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what are they keeping the same? Because many of the freedoms that you have in a progressive free-thinking society were kind of won over time with struggle and and the world they might be sort of like looking back on with kind of rose-tinted spectacles isn't the world they think it was.
No.
They would much rather live in this one now. They wouldn't admit it.
Well, that's so true. Because when I love the 20s, but in my mind it's not really the 20s. It's a kind of alternate version of the 20s where things were a lot fairer. And, like, black people didn't have to go in the other door and stuff like that. Like, in my mind, it's not. It's now, but...
Oh, imagine how hard things would have been for you in the 1920s, unless you were, like, ridiculously well off.
What, with the endometriosis?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I probably would have just had loads of morphine.
And writing as well. It's like...
Yeah.
You're on the laudanum.
There were some female writers in the 20s and that, but yeah, generally, I mean, it wasn't as fair, of course. I mean, we're not there yet. We'll get there if Comicsgate calm down. Maybe.
Everything's gate, isn't it? Everything's
gate.
It's kind of like maybe there's some. No.
You wake up in the morning and you trip over Tripgate.
Yeah.
You've run out of Rice Krispies. Crispygate.
I bet what's his name's behind it all.
Yeah, it's the SJWs. They've taken my Rice Krispies again.
Yes. Was Roger Stone? It's his fault.
Yeah. I mean,
I blame everything on him.
We might as well.
Because he was involved in Watergate, wasn't he? He was like.
Yeah.
But he got off. Kind of. I don't know. He's
one of the I don't even think he was involved. I think he's a fantasist half the time. To be honest.
I think. Yeah, well...
I do think he was involved in a lot of dodgy stuff, but I also think he makes himself out to be a lot more.
But what I mean is, it's like everything being like this gate, that gate.
Yeah.
It's kind of like watering down what a big issue Watergate was at the time. If Watergate happened now, no one would probably bat an eye on it or care.
It's all already happened, yeah. But what was I going to say? Something about Comicsgate. Oh yeah, apparently. So yeah, the thing where they've left it at the moment is that it appears that they're going to sue Vox Day for using the Comicsgate thing for his imprint, for the comic imprint. But now, okay, I passed media law like 10 years ago, maybe. So I don't know anything. So things are probably very different. But as far as I'm aware,
I don't know the legal ins and outs.
As far as I'm aware, some things on the internet, it's really hard to copyright or something. But I wouldn't even pretend to know. So, but that's where it's been left anyway. There.
Yeah, well, you see this mirrored in every other aspect of art or anything. It could be any subject or anything people are passionate about. You get more and more extreme views.
Yeah.
And less people sharing ideas, which is, that's a real shame. But maybe we could change that, Maddie.
Maybe we could change. You, me, and Bill.
Bill
form our
we have
silly little we're like an arty trio who just don't really do much apart from art and just what we want,
conversation.
Really. Yeah. So on a lighter note, I found some things that is still writer related, and I came across this guy probably a few years ago now, maybe, and it was a post which you probably read. If you haven't read it, please find it. He is called Shiverbert Creepstein, and he's a writer. His Facebook page or his Facebook profile has become very well known for being really embarrassing, and he's now got his own subreddit for his posts and where people like to discuss him, because it's kind of like you have to see it to believe it. But anyway, the post that did the rounds was apparently he tells these little stories, just in text and that. He he was in a coffee shop buying a coffee. There was a lady in front of him, of course, buying a coffee, and he did some weird like Sherlock Holmes thing on her where he was like, "I see you like rough sex," and she was like, "What?" and all offended. But then as he explained it, she was like, "Ho," because he was like talking about the slight rope marks on her wrist, and it was just really embarrassing, and it was doing.
Well, she might have tried to kill herself or something.
Well, he figured that eventuality into the story, and he was like, but it's not out of anger or whatever, because I don't know, it was just nonsense. None of it was true. Like, obviously none of it was true. But anyway, everyone was kind of passing it around saying, "Oh my God, look at this, please don't ever say this to anyone in a coffee shop." But he just, carries on with his little thing, comparing himself to David Bowie on more than one occasion, which, fine. But it's just funny. And I found some of his posts that particularly made me laugh. And I thought I would share them with you. This one, the balding older homeless guy was raving, hysterical, mad, screaming at me as I passed by, and I felt prompted to scream back with the first thing on my mind. The shrieking of nothing is killing me, just pictures of... Okay, I'm not reading that. Girls in synthesis, and I ain't got no money, and I ain't got no hair. He deflated immediately and looked from behind watery, broken eyes and said, Bowie? Yeah, I smiled. Now get your shit together or they're going to take you away. He sat quietly on the bench, seemingly taking the advice to heart. Like, if you're mentally ill, if you've got to a point in your life where you're homeless and you're mentally ill, a sharp quote from a Bowie fan isn't going to suddenly snap you out of... It's just really odd. And they get funnier. That one's not so funny. It's okay. Oh, this is amazing. Oh my god. I was standing in Safeway, browsing exotic cheeses of all things.
Okay.
When I felt like I was being watched, and I was. Some college girl just was staring at me. I smiled at her and went back to looking at smoked cheeses. I've been watching you, she said. Yeah, I just kind of busted you for doing that. You walk like a jaguar and look at everything with alien eyes. I don't know what that means, but it's kind of poetic.
Sure is.
So are you, and I'm pretty sure you're not of this world. You're not like anyone else in this entire store. Thanks, I think. Bye-bye, alien jungle cat, she smiled, waved, and walked away. Summer can do strange things to people.
I think she might have definitely had sunstroke.
I think she didn't exist. I think she was a figment of his imagination. To be honest though, none of them, absolutely none of them, the weird sex stuff, whatever, made me laugh as much as this final one, which I'm going to read now. Okay, Shiverbert Creepstein, take it away. Today was pretty unremarkable until I went for my jog tonight, and I was 80% done with that when shit went down. First of all...
He writes it like Garth Marenghi.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Maybe that's the point.
Yeah. Don't know. It'd be amazing if it turned out it was just some guy joking.
Yeah, well, I think it is actually.
Don't know. Delusion. Never underestimate delusion. Just...
Or a 15-year-old boy, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't think so. It's definitely the fantasies of an older man.
Oh, okay.
Who wishes...
Yeah, because college girls and stuff,
Yeah. First of all, when I jog at night, I wear a lot of whites and light colours, and I use crosswalks because I see idiots in black hoodies and dark jeans crossing major thoroughfares in the middle of the street and worry that my Jeep will turn them into hamburger and I'll be sent to prison for manslaughter. So
you just
tonight,
had to get that one out, didn't
yeah. So tonight, as I was jogging through a crosswalk, a little white sports car, some Mazda, Honda, Toyota thing from the early 2000s, made a turn right into the crosswalk, stopping just in time for me to leap onto the hood of the car so as not to be injured or killed,
Who is he, Batman?
which crumpled beneath my impact. I stared at the driver, a total bro wearing a pink button down with a neck as thick as his skull, now wide-eyed, mouth agape and terrified as I screamed, "Asshole!" at the top of my lungs. Out of rage, I kicked the driver's side mirror off of the car, jumped on his roof, which also caved in, onto his trunk, and back to the street to continue my jog. He sped off at about 45 in a 25 zone. I was uninjured. His car is wrecked. I am going to be effing sore tomorrow. Never a dull day.
Right, so it is kind of like a fantasy, isn't it? It's kind of all the things Larry David would do, but he's not doing it.
Yeah.
So it's just he's basically put it into this.
Well, at least Larry David's is about his mistakes. This guy fantasises.
He can laugh at himself. Yeah.
He looks so thin, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting, an interesting glimpse.
Very good, very funny.
But I can just imagine him, this not that happened, but I can just imagine this crazy middle-aged man like clambering up this guy's car and going having a full-blown hissy fit on the top of.
You'd just laugh, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you just get out the car and look at him like.
Get off the paintwork, but
can you stop doing that, please? or you're going to have to pay. So yeah, Shiverbert Creepstein.
Shiverbert Creepstein.
I'm not sure that there's much else to...
No, we're going to see a silent movie.
Yes, we're going to the moving pictures tonight to watch Pandora's Box.
Which will be very good.
With Louise Brooks, who is my hair. Oh, how was it I said to Bill yesterday? I said, oh, I'm going to watch a Louise Brooks film, so I'll have her hair, like in my mind, meaning I'm going to walk in and I'll have the same hair as her, and you know, but he pointed out that I'd made it sound like if you go and see a film with anyone in it, you will come out with their hair. if you go and see
Mel Brooks,
Die Hard or something like that, you come out with like
Bruce Willis.
Same
hair. Difference.
Alright, okay, thanks very much for listening to the things.
Thank you for having us.
Goodbye.